Welcome to an extra special episode of Gakuhai Hell. Today, it's going to be both admins of cast reading some parts of this story, so you're in for a treat, maybe? I don't know. This story is called The Queen of Mallepa. You what? Hyde spat in disgust at what had just graced his eardrums. Tetsu bit his bottom lip sheepishly before repeating, We sold you. Well, actually, Ken sold you. But he's sharing the money with Yuki and me. Hyde had heard correctly. His longtime friends had somehow acquired the rights to his own person and free will, and were exchanging his goods and services for an undisclosed amount of money. Wait a minute, Hyde exclaimed. That's not even legal. You see, Ken piped in, he gave us a lot of money, and I mean a lot. He reached under the table and brought out a red silk sack with golden embroidery. He unlaced it to reveal a pile of gold coins. What's this? Hyde picked up one of the gleaming pieces of metal. This isn't real currency. Look, the face on the coins is... He trembled, dropping the coin into its rightful place. The three men sitting opposite of Hyde stared down at their laps in a sombre manner, knowing there was no way of apologising or even easing the pain, for they had sold their now former bandmate to a human being with whom no one should have to spend the remainder of his days. One would not even wish such a fate upon his worst enemy. Unless, of course, money was involved, in which case one would sell his own father for the right amount of shiny objects. We figured you'd be fine with it after signing the movie contract last week, Tetsu attempted to explain. The limo's waiting outside, Yuki stated somberly. I suggest you go now before you anger. What? Hyde was still puzzled and shocked. I'm calling the police. He reached for the phone, but his hand was slapped away by a burly foreigner with dark skin and a stoic gaze. Without a word, the man picked Hyde up by the waist and slung him over his broad shoulders. Hyde kicked and screamed, threatening a wide variety of evils, but his shouts were soon muffled when he was thrust into an antique limousine with a plush interior. 3 television screens sat opposite him, displaying the day's news broadcast. As Hyde felt the car begin to move, the news anchor woman said, Please listen to our anthem while honouring your home shrine to our great king. Suddenly, the foreigner took his massive hand and snatched the back of Hyde's head, forcing him to face a picture framed in gold and jewels. What the hell is that? Hyde tried to say, but he was silenced by the foreigner's other massive hand. He squinted, trying to make out the image surrounded by incense and sheer veils, but the sound of a lackadaisical yet familiar song playing from the television and the incense smoke filling up the car made him groggy. His eyes lolled shut. Soon, sleep overtook his consciousness. The last words he heard came from the foreigner. Thank the great king for this day. Praise King Gact. Hyde awoke in the clouds, white puffs that were softer than imaginable. But the smell of incense filled his nose, and he realised that he was not in the clouds, but in a bathtub filled with suds. The water felt warm and soothing. He surveyed the area around him to find that he was in a spacious room with mosaic tiled walls, complete with tapestries and sheer curtains. Several randomly placed pillows completed the decor of the room. He admired the artistry and effort put into producing such a luxurious space. Then, Hyde remembered what happened. Where the hell am I? He shouted, thrashing about in the tub. A pair of hands grabbed each of his arms and legs, holding him against the tub while another rubbed him down with a sea sponge. Hyde looked past the suds to see that he was surrounded by plump men with blank eyes and loin clothes. Who are you? Hyde sputtered. The question remained unanswered as they pulled him out of the tub, briskly toweling him down. One of the men brought forth a gold bowl full of rose-coloured liquid. They dipped their hands into it and smothered Hyde's naked flesh in the scented oil. It smelt of exotic flowers and cinnamon. This is insane! Hyde struggled against their strong grips. Let me go! The men ignored him as they draped a fine silk dressing robe over Hyde's body. It felt smooth as it flowed against his freshly shaven lower half. Who the hell shaved me? Hyde asked in vain. He felt eternally violated. Hyde continued to shout unanswered inquiries as the men dragged him out of the room. They brought him into a long hallway with high marble columns and velvet carpet floors. At the end of the hall was an enormous golden door with a scene of warfare moulded on its surface. The colossal doors opened upon Hyde's arrival. The men led him into a room. No, room was too small a word. Hyde was brought into a whole other dimension. Though a domed roof covered the area, it had a feeling of being outside with nature, complete with tropical vegetation and animals in a wide array of colours. The floor was marble, with a crimson silk pathway leading off into the distance, Even more elaborate tapestries and mosaics that he had seen in the bathtub room adorned the surrounding walls. The smell of exotic flowers and cinnamon overwhelmed Hyde as he saw who sat upon a mountain of pillows directly in front of him.
"Welcome," a resounding voice beckoned as the men dragging Hyde forced him to kneel and bow.
Gagged? Seriously? What the hell? He shouted, stomping towards the mountain of pillows. What kind of sick practical joke are you playing on me? Gact, draped across the pillows like the loose skin of a molting snake, was dressed in a flowing black and gold robe with golden rings adorning his fingers. He was surrounded by red silk curtains and young men in loincloths, fanning him with giant ostrich feathers. He had a smug look upon his face as he clapped his bejeweled hands. Without warning, a massive tiger sprang out from behind the curtain, stopping a meter ahead of Hyde.
"Cease, Lihom," Gact called. The tiger reluctantly backed away, glaring at Hyde.
You have a tiger? Hyde asked in disbelief. The giant beast settled on the mountain of pillows, purring as Gact replied.
"Yes, he is an exotic creature, is he not? He was a gift from Taiwan, which I conquered with my menacing army of eunuchs." Gact paused, giving Hyde a sly look. "Would you like to pet my pussy?"
Hyde massaged his temples. Okay, first of all, that doesn't even work in the perverted sense you're referring to because, well, you're a man. Second, Lihom is the name of our co-star in that upcoming film Moonchild. We're supposed to be filming next week, which I'm not sure I want to do anymore because of this. Third, what the hell is this? You can't buy me.
"Silence, my Japanese lily!" Gact swiveled his legs around into a sitting position. The gold bracelets on his ankles jangled against his interlaced henna tattoos. "Of course I can buy you. I'm the king."
King of what? Hyde asked, now frustrated and ready to throw the nearest thing at Gact that he could find. Suddenly, a large gold bowl filled with dates appeared next to Hyde. He looked down in shock to see that it was being carried by a monkey no taller than Hyde's knee.
The king promptly ignored him. "Would you like a date?"
Sure, Hyde answered, reaching for the bowl, but it was jerked away from him.
"How about next Thursday at 8? Gact joked, laughing boisterously.
Oh, really clever, Hyde replied sarcastically, snatching the bowl from the monkey and hurling it towards Gact. Lihom the tiger swatted the bowl away before it could even get near his master.
"You offended her," Gact stated. "Is that not right, Zenny?" The monkey bowed.
Hyde shook his head. This is ludicrous. You are not the king of whatever la-la land we're in. For the love of God, you're a Japanese citizen and a pop star.
"I will not tolerate my wife speaking to me in that manner." Gact's voice suddenly changed from regal to aggressive.
Wife? Hyde nearly slipped on the silk beneath his feet.
Gact guffawed. "Oh, my foolish Japanese hyacinth. Why else are you in my glorious presence? Of course you are my wife, and as husband and wife, king and queen, man and womanly man, we shall create beautiful music together. Now eat a date, and Zenny will bring you another bowl."
Hyde felt as if his soul had left his body at that very moment. However, he still had his instincts. He picked up the second bowl the monkey brought him and flung it with all his might, though Lihom the tiger swatted the bowl away again. This time, a few dates hit the king in the face. He did not flinch.
"You dare defy me?" Gact fumed, standing. He stormed over to Hyde, his robes flowing and fluttering in his fury like a flock of furious flamingos. He raised his left hand and brought it to Hyde's cheek in a cold, hard slap. "Eat a date, my lovely Japanese water chestnut," Gact commanded through clenched teeth.
Fearing the worst, Hyde took one more date from a third bowl and placed it in his mouth. It was sweet and textured. He swallowed with some difficulty.
"Now my eunuchs shall bring you to your chambers," Gact stated.
Hyde suddenly felt extremely drowsy. He realized that he'd been drugged and he would soon fall into a deep sleep.
"Sleep well, my fair Japanese crescent roll," Gact purred as Hyde collapsed into his arms.
The last sound he heard was that all too familiar tune. Hyde awoke to find himself laying on his side in a canopy bed surrounded by pillows. The air smelt of exotic flowers and cinnamon. 2 eunuchs fanned him with ostrich feathers. His flesh was bare, but his body was warm. He stirred slightly, but met some resistance in a hot and smooth mass at his back. Turning, he discovered that he was not alone in the mound of pillows. "Oh my God, get away!" Hyde screamed, shoving Gact away to the best of his ability.
Gact slowly fluttered his eyes open to meet Hyde's with a loving glare. "Whatever is the matter, my startled Japanese turtle dove?"
I learned long ago that if you wake up in the bed with a stranger, you're not supposed to ask questions, Hyde muttered. Then he raised his voice. But I don't appreciate being called someone's wife and later finding myself naked in his bed.
The king sighed. I got you a present, my worthy Japanese panda bear.
Hyde wanted to point out that made no sense, but he shut up when he saw a giant ruby resting upon Gakt's bare stomach.
Wear it, Gakt ordered, placing the jewelry on Hyde's fingers to symbolize our love.
What love? Hyde demanded, snatching the silk robe one of the eunuchs held ready. I'm getting out of here.
I'm afraid you cannot, my defiant Japanese sea beast, Gakt stated with a slight giggle in his voice. You see, that ring will explode and blow your entire arm off, should you attempt to leave this palace.
So take it off, Hyde replied, tugging at his ring finger. But the ring held tighter than an endangered octopus on seafood night. Hyde took a close look at the ring and discovered that it had the image of Gakt's statuesque head engraved in it.
Gakt guffawed. Come, Marula, let us bask in each other's company.
What did you call me? Hyde asked.
Marula, Gakt answered. This is the name I give you. Marula Pumatron. Marula Pumatron.
At this point, Hyde tired of asking questions, so he left it at that.
As I was saying, Gakt continued, stroking the fine silk of the pillows, let us bask in each other's presence.
Hyde folded his arms over his chest. I don't want to.
Come, let us bask in each other's presence.
I don't want to.
Come, bask.
No.
Bask!
Hyde surrendered and sat next to Gakt.
You are a beautiful Japanese.
Don't say it. Hyde put his hand over Gakt's mouth. Don't call me a Japanese, whatever the hell it is first thing that comes to your mind. Ever. Just don't.
As you wish, my Marula, Gakt obliged. But you know, all those adjectives describe you so splendidly. You are a treasure. Thus, I have decided to put you on display.
Hyde cocked his eyebrow. What do you mean?
Gakt sat up and gazed into Hyde's eyes. Your voice is like 1,000 songbirds on a spring day. Your face is like the purest gold. Your hair is like...
Spit it out, Hyde commanded.
Cupping Hyde's face in his hands, Gakt continued, You and I shall create a majestic extravaganza, a work of art combining all the senses for the whole world to see. And you and I, Queen Marula Pumatron, shall be the star. And the title shall be derived from the heavens. I shall call it Progeny of the Lunar Body.
What bullshit, Hyde murmured, though his words were drowned out by Gakt's gloating. Days faded into weeks, weeks into months. All the while Hyde and Gakt worked on Gakt's vision. Sets of bamboo and birch wood created the background. Exotic flowers and animals created the midground, and in the foreground stood Hyde, in the finest silks and jewels. The sights, smells, tastes, textures, and music of Gakt's great empire came together in one arena. Oh, woe, reluctantly recites Hyde upon the stage. I am but a lonely vampire. Woman. My master is dead. Where shall I find another so worthy of my beauty?
Gakt rides in on an albino stallion. He wears a white suit with gold embroidery. Come, maiden, I shall make you the queen of my country, Mallepa.
Oh, happy day, Hyde exclaims with limited enthusiasm. Let us fornicate. Gakt hoists Hyde onto the stallion and they ride off. The audience of thousands applauds. The tiger, Lihom, takes their place. Roar, says he. The audience cheers. Gakt and Hyde reappear.
Friend or foe, let us work together to squash evil, Gakt exclaims triumphantly.
Dozens of darkly dressed men with curved swords appeared. An epic battle ensues. Roar, Lihom states when the battle subsides.
That is right, friend, Gakt agrees, patting the tiger on the back.
The monkey Zini enters. She is mute and thus has no lines. Suddenly, Lihom betrays Gakt and Hyde, causing Hyde to flee. Forlorn, Gakt is forced to marry the monkey.
Oh, woe, wife, Gakt laments. I dearly miss my old wife. She was much more supple and tall. You fail. Here, I will give you the gift of a tumor.
Oh, woe, my king. I have missed your shining, glorious presence. Please allow me to bask in it before I am put to death.
Fear not, Marula dearest, Gakt soothes. Since you are but a foolish woman and cannot free yourself, I shall grant you liberty. Let us fornicate. The audience cheers.
They travel across the desert back to Mallepa.
The kingdom is ours if we kill the foolish, evil Cowchan, Gakt informs his first wife.
Hyde clutches at Gakt's ripping pectorals. Surely your great strength, cunning, and exceptionally good looks shall vanquish the evil Cowchan.
You forgot foolish, Gakt mumbles, reminding Hyde of his lines. He clears his throat. Of course, he brings forth his mighty sword and exacts his vengeance upon the foolish, evil Cowchan. Blood splatters all over the audience.
"Oh, my king," Hyde swoons, falling to his knees. "I shall love thee into eternity."
And I thee, my queen, Gact replies as he gives Hyde the night of his life to that familiar tune.
"That's it," exclaimed Hyde, breaking character. "I can't take this bullshit any longer. 1 minute I'm a Japanese music icon, the next I'm some miscellaneous South Asian queen of the Onyx." He snatched a propped bowl of dates and lifted his arm to toss it at Gact. However, he was too slow, as Gact had learnt his tactics over months of having date bowls nearly miss his head. The Onyx reached behind their backs and pulled out their own date bowls, chucking them at Hyde.
I'm sorry I had to come to this, Marula, Gact said disappointedly. I am no man, let alone a king, if I cannot control my wife.
Hyde was promptly knocked out. Hyde sprung up from his chair. His eyes darted around to make sure he hadn't been put unconscious so Gact could rape him again. However, he discovered that he was in a conference room, surrounded by the cast and crew of Moonchild.
Hyde? Gact said in an annoyed tone. Did you fall asleep?
They were in a meeting to discuss the production of the movie. Hyde nearly wet himself with relief. "I must have," he scratched the back of his head apologetically. "Sorry, everyone. It was all a dream. A terrible, beautiful dream." Hyde hadn't been sold and wasn't in a country overrun with Onyx and South Asian stereotypes. And most importantly, Gact wasn't. Hyde suddenly smelt exotic flowers and cinnamon. He brought his hand to his face to see if he was delirious with fever, but suddenly froze with terror. Upon his ring finger was a ruby nestled in gold, and in that ruby, carved by the finest craftsman in all of Mallepa, was the image of King Gact. Well, we hope you enjoyed that story, and keep tuned for even worse ones, hopefully, even though that was quite a gem. Bye for now.